Welcome everybody to our webinar today on trade missions. You're going to learn what you can do for international expansion and how to make the most of your experience abroad. So today's webinar is brought to you by the Magnet Export Business Portal and the World Trade Center. And I'm really excited. We've got two great guests. They're going to help us through the process. Today's webinar is going to be a discussion. So we're going to have Devin asking some questions, and then we're going to have Erin answering them. So it's a great opportunity to learn. And then we're going to show you how to create your Magnet account. So Magnet's a great opportunity to get information about exporting. You sign up, and then you'll get regular emails that relate to exactly what you need. So let us start off by introducing myself. My name is Andrew Patricio. I own a business called BizLaunch, and we help small business owners grow their business. Our second guest is Devin Franklin, and she's from Magnet. She's the project manager of the newest addition to the Magnet platform, the Magnet Export Business Portal. Devin works directly with businesses and business support organizations to help them raise the awareness of the numerous opportunities available to Ontario businesses to help them grow and expand internationally. When businesses thrive, we all do, and Devin wants to ensure that businesses have access to resources necessary to grow their businesses. Then we have Erin Ellis. She's the Director of International Market Development at the World Trade Center. Erin and her team at the World Trade Center provide targeted international trade advisory services and expertise through comprehensive research, trade education, strategy building workshops, outbound and inbound trade missions, and valuable connections to experts and networks. Really what we need. Erin's passion for catalyzing value additive relationships between government, private sector, and academia radiates through her daily work and her expertise in negotiating those collaborations across stakeholders, which is really where she shines. So both people are experts in their fields, and they're going to share some of their experience with us and show us exactly what we need to do and give us some information on when it comes to trade shows, what are the process, what are the steps we need to go to. And so let's get Devin to share a little bit of information about the Magnet Business Portal and tell us a little bit about how it works.
Great.
So take
Thank
it
you,
away,
Andrew.
Devin.
Thank you so much. And welcome everyone who's joining us on this webinar. Thanks for taking the time on your lunch. I hope everyone's eating while we go through this really informative webinar. And we're really privileged to have Erin join us from the World Trade Center Toronto to share really what is a trade mission and how to get the most out of it. I just wanted to start by talking a little bit about the Magnet Export Business Portal and really what was the motivation to creating it, how did we end up here, and what does our partnership with the World Trade Center look like? And so everyone who's on this webinar hopefully knows that there's a really strong business case to why exporting should be in the back of every Canadian SME's mind. Exporting increases your revenue, it expands your customer base, and it really makes you more competitive on a global field. What we realized really quickly, though, was that there were key challenges and barriers to Canadian SMEs in accessing export. One of them was just the overwhelming array of export resources. So if you do a quick Google search, you get over 8 million hits of different content, programs, services. Some of them are expired, some of them are irrelevant. And so really finding the right export resources that match your business and where you are in your business journey can be really daunting. If you're only a team of 5, it becomes really challenging to find the time to go through and navigate the trade ecosystem. And then just the multiple providers. You know, what's the difference between Ontario government supports versus federal government supports? Who is EDC and BDC, these common names that we hear, and really what do they provide? And so that's really what was the driving factors to build this Magnet Export Business Portal. So it's leveraging a technology platform that's already been in existence since 2014. It's a talent matching platform that matches job seekers and employers. And what we did was we took that technology and we just altered who were the variables. So instead of job seekers and employers, we looked at small and medium-sized businesses and export resources and programs. And so what it's meant to do is with a simple profile, a simple business profile, it's meant to connect you with export resources, programs, funding opportunities, trade missions that really match your business profile. So it's about leveraging the opportunities from these fabulous export providers, the World Trade Center Toronto, the Ontario government, Export Development Canada, Global Affairs Canada, and the Business Development Bank of Canada. And it's really creating a pipeline straight to your email inbox about opportunities that are only relevant to your business and to the business profile that you created. And that's really what makes this system unique, is that it's targeted communication. So it's not a generic e-blast that you get once a week with content that you've still got to weed through to figure out what's relevant to you. It's really push notifications straight to your email inbox about opportunities that you're eligible for, you can apply for, you can take advantage of. We do the vetting on the back end. And one of the key deliverables that we put through the system, or one of the key opportunities, is trade missions. Going on a trade mission, that's relevant to your business, that hits a market that you're interested in, navigating into, is a key opportunity, and really the motivation to partner with World Trade Center Toronto, which is a leader in this space. And I'm really excited that we have Erin on the webinar to talk a little bit about what World Trade Center Toronto does and what it can do for your business. So let's start with that, Erin, if you want to give us a brief overview of really who is World Trade Center Toronto, what's its connection to the Toronto Region Board of Trade, and what can businesses expect from connecting with you?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Devin. Well, the World Trade Center Toronto is really the Toronto Region Board of Trade's trade enabling services arm. So the board's vision, for those who don't know, is really to make Toronto one of the most competitive and sought-after business regions in the world. They offer 175 years of experience in doing that. The board really represents, about 15,000 members at its core, and is one of the most influential chambers of commerce in North America, and certainly one of the best at providing resources and advocacy and thought leadership to the members that it serves. In addition to being part of the Toronto Region Board of Trade, the World Trade Center Toronto, of course, is also a part of the World Trade Center Association, which is an establishment that really creates global access, truly global access for its members, connecting them to 317 World Trade Centers worldwide, serving about 88 countries in total. As Andrew noted in my introduction, we really, at the World Trade Center Toronto, aim to provide targeted international trade advisory services and expertise through market research, through trade education, through strategy workshops, outbound and inbound trade missions, and really offer an access to global experts and networks. We run a continuum of trade enabling programs, which you can see on the slide below, and it's ever expanding. We actually have some additional programs that are within our Strategy 2024 sessions right now, and so they're forthcoming. But they run from the ABCs of trading with Trade 101 to our Trade Accelerator program, which we've actually launched nationally now as well, which helps small to medium-sized businesses develop an export plan, and then to our Market Activation Plan, which really is the one that facilitates trade missions for Canadian businesses that are ready to explore, and experience opportunities for expansion in new markets. I'm sure that we can all recognize, of course, that trade is more critical than ever for the success of Canadian businesses who have historically really under-leveraged the opportunities that our country's federal government has provided for us. We only have a population of 37 million total in Canada, which is quite insignificant on a global scale. But we have access to almost 5.1 billion consumers through the free trade agreements that our federal government has ratified for us around the world. And in fact, we're actually the only G7 country who has agreements in place with all of the other G7 countries. So that's certainly something for us to be proud of. And suffice to say, the world is really ripe with opportunities for Canadian businesses because we have such a small population here to sell to. These Canadian businesses have experienced much more competition internally than a lot of other countries experience. And so we have some of the best and the most innovative companies in the world, and we really we're really here to help those SMEs bring Brand Canada to all corners of the globe.
I couldn't agree with you more, Erin. I think the Canadian brand is so strong right now on the international stage, and so it's just a great opportunity for businesses who are kind of teetering on the fence about whether to kind of take that next step. That now really is the time. We really need to be looking outside of Canada, and the world wants to see more of our products, services, innovation, technologies out there on the world stage. And so I guess taking us back to the basics, as I said, when we initially launched, we've really, hit the market, going to trade shows ourselves, promoting at events, and one of the, dominant opportunities that we featured was, you can get targeted communication about trade missions that are relevant to your business and to the markets you're looking into entering. And we were surprised that a lot of small businesses came back to us and said, well, what is a trade mission? I don't understand what this opportunity even is that I'm being targeted with. And so maybe we just start there, Erin. What, for any business that's on the webinar or will listen to this recording, really, what is a trade mission? What are the nuts and bolts that make up the opportunity?
Of course, absolutely, and we certainly recognize that that the answer to that fundamental question is something that we need to educate the business community on as well. I mean, at its core, a trade mission is an experiential trade development opportunity. The goal of any given trade mission, really, when it's business-led, is to open doors for those participating businesses in the host market, help them to facilitate trade relationships between, two or more regions, and to ultimately provide opportunities to the delegate businesses to scale through access to the global marketplace. Because the strategic goals of any given delegate can really vary so significantly on any given mission. Some are, looking for purchase orders with in-market buyers. Others are looking to solicit venture capital. Some want joint venture opportunities and partnership opportunities. Some are looking for distributors. The myriad it goes on and on. But we try and keep our trade delegations at the World Trade Center Toronto to, roughly 15 businesses so that we can really offer bespoke business-to-business meetings for each business, spend a lot of time getting to know those individual businesses, establish, educational programming for the entire delegation, which helps them to better understand, market access and reach sector thought leaders. And then we curate as well a series of site visits to, various innovation hubs, manufacturers, retailers, and industry-leading kind of public and private sector partners. All of the trade missions that we run as well at the World Trade Center Toronto are guided by a white paper. You guys can see the infographic below, which we produced called the Priority Export Markets for Toronto Region Businesses. Well, this is looking obviously at Toronto Region CMA data. It really expands, well beyond the Toronto region and across Canada. The purpose of the paper was for us to evaluate in a methodical manner the international trade opportunities and industry activity so that we knew where those priority sectors were for regional businesses. We identified, as you can see, 4 established sectors, so food and beverage, life sciences, automotive, and aerospace, and then 3 very important emerging sectors, clean tech, fintech, and smart cities technology. We then, of course, went through and identified the best potential export markets globally for Canadian SMEs within those sectors, and we did that by kind of quantifying the value and growth of opportunities through methodologies like total annual exports, change in total exports, compound annual growth rate for those exports, total patent activity, consumer base, etc. We then assigned, of course, a final rank for each one of those markets relative to the sector that was under evaluation and used averaged applicable scores to develop that infographic that you see below. There is the full report, which is available on our website. It's about 20 pages in total, and it's extremely comprehensive. So for any of those who are listening to us today and are interested in those 4 sectors that are established or 3 sectors that are emerging and really want a deep dive into what we've done relative to the value of trade missions for those sectors and to see what markets we're looking at for those sectors, please do take a look at that. But yeah, I mean, to kind of go back to what the value of a trade mission is and what a trade mission is, it's really for us to help Canadian businesses reach new opportunities in new markets and have us and our partners facilitate those growth opportunities for them.
Amazing. And again, with those priority sectors and industries, I can completely echo, it may be, that information may be Toronto specific, but it's very much aligns with all of the federal analysis as well in terms of emerging and current markets that businesses really should be looking at. And again, to listeners that are tuning in terms of, for magnet export, why partnering with the World Trade Center Toronto is so critical to our success is really that expertise. We don't present ourselves at Magnet as export experts. We're merely a hub to really connect you with that expertise that Erin very clearly demonstrated from the World Trade Center Toronto. That kind of intelligence and market intelligence is really critical to feel confident as a business owner that you're going into a market where you really can be successful and thrive. And so, Erin, a business has applied to a World Trade Center trade mission and they've been successful. Let's say it's, 3 weeks out to before they leave for the trade mission. Trade missions are an investment of time and financial resources. So how do businesses really get their heads around preparing for a trade mission? Is it as simple as showing up on the airport and hopping on a plane and trying to make the most of it when you get there? Or are there things that businesses can be doing before they go on a trade mission to really get the most out of the experience?
As you mentioned, obviously a trade mission is an investment of time and resources for the delegate. So it's important that they are thoroughly prepared. And obviously, we suggest that they have an export plan in place. Our Trade Accelerator program is geared towards the development of an export plan, which is a very, very helpful step in advance of a Canadian business, or any business entering or looking at opportunities in a new market. Before the mission, we obviously strongly suggest that all the delegates attend any of the info sessions and pre-departure briefings that the organizers are facilitating for them. This ensures, obviously that all the mission partners are clear on the strategic objectives of the business, of your business as the business that's attending, including, helping you refine kind of your competitive advantages and your value proposition, because you need to remember as a business attending a trade delegation that the facilitators of that delegation are really the ones that are representing you in market in advance of you being there, helping you to set up those B2B meetings and helping to, secure those site visits and those thought leaders within the market. So making sure that, you have adequately informed them of your goals will really help them do your bidding for you effectively in that market before you're even on the plane and on your way. Of course, once the company is committed as well, they should also not rely solely on the facilitators of the mission to develop contacts for them in that country. There's absolutely no good reason for them to wait to start developing local ties. And as they're doing that as well, making sure that they're revising their pitch, their elevator pitch, their overall pitch for that specific market, so that when they are there at trade shows or networking receptions, et cetera, both of which are pretty key components for most trade missions that are run, obviously by ourselves, but more or less by any organization that facilitates trade missions, it really is going to help them hook interest quickly and maximize their time at those sorts of events and those trade shows. And then kind of the final key component pre-departure for them is really making sure that they've got that budget allocated. They understand, that in order for them to enter a new market, it does require an investment not only of their time during the trade mission, but for them to be able to, capitalize on those ongoing opportunities, they need to make sure that they've got development budgets set aside for that as well. Most of the companies that we take, certainly most of the companies across Canada, have access to provincial and federal government grants. We do a great job of supporting our businesses here in Canada relative to export development. I know we've got a partner on the World Trade Center's Market Activation Program, Richter, who does an amazing job of helping these companies that we take with us every single time identify the right opportunities for them relative to funding and grants that are available, and then kind of walk them through the steps of the application and help them kind of with that ongoing process as well, because that's not always the easiest to navigate. But, Richter helps our companies, Global Affairs Canada, etc. They're always there to make sure that, no Canadian business is missing out on an opportunity because they don't have access to funds to capitalize on it.
That's fantastic. I know that is, obviously a barrier specifically for smaller sized businesses to not only take off the time to go on the trade mission, but also be able to fund the trade mission. It may be out of scope for that year's budget. So it is, and echo Erin's point that there is, funding available to really support businesses in attending trade missions. And again, another one of those opportunities promoted through the portal for businesses to tap into. You mentioned, Erin, the importance of reaching out and building those contacts, and I can't agree with that more. Waiting for, the organizers to make those kind of soft introductions sometimes, waylays the process. And so really taking the initiative, especially if you're attending a trade show at the, in the country that you're visiting, really looking ahead at who's exhibiting, who's going to be attending. They often share those lists in advance of the trade show. And doing those reach outs early. Businesses want to connect with you, especially if you're going to be in their backyard. And so really feeling confident in your product or your service that you're going to be bringing over, and really setting up those meetings ahead of time before you get there. So if a business, again, is successful, they've prepped properly for the trade show or the trade mission, how do they make sure that they, once they're on the ground in the destination country, really get the most out of the trade mission? If they're, attending a trade show or visiting businesses, really what advice would you have for businesses to ensure that they really come away from the experience with getting the most out of it?
Yeah, absolutely. So, on the mission, there's kind of three key components. The first one, which is, again, prepare. Prepare and plan, I'm going to hit on again and again. The mission organizers and all of their partners have spent so much time getting to know your business and representing you in that market as professional and competent. And so you need to make sure that you're up to speed on the businesses that you're meeting relative to kind of the business-to-business meetings that those facilitators have set up for you, and that you have clear objectives around the opportunities that you want to discuss with each one of the in each one of the meetings. Effectively, a well-curated B2B meeting on a trade mission is going to feel like a third or a fourth meeting in terms of actionability and next steps. So even though it's going to be your first meeting as a delegate with that business, all the groundwork has already been laid. The mission organizers have done lots in advance to represent your business. You're well past the gatekeepers, and you should be meeting with decision makers. So you need to make sure that it really counts. The second point is just to remember that there's customs and courtesies for doing business in any local ecosystem, and sticking to them. Make sure that you're both respected and you're respectful. The last thing any business wants to do, any delegate wants to do, is inadvertently offend a potential partner or client and ruin a relationship, of course. And then the third part is really, get the most of your time between meetings. Make sure that, if there is a trade show, that you're hitting that trade show floor and leveraging the connections that you made in advance of joining that mission or being in market there, making use of that preparation pre-mission that you've done. Speak to as many people as you can during networking opportunities. This is why, you needed to kind of refine your elevator pitch for that market, and just put yourself out there.
Absolutely, and I think the elevator pitch is key in talking to businesses, and even just in attending trade shows ourselves. You really get a finite amount of time with exhibitors. There's lots of people milling about, and so as a business owner, really knowing what makes your business unique. What is what is that carrot that is going to interest international businesses to do business with you, and really putting that up front. Oftentimes we want to build a narrative and build a story and tell really the history of how your business got to where it is. But in these types of situations, it's really putting what makes your business unique, what makes you, kind of why should we do business with you versus anyone else, really putting that value proposition right up front when you're working and connecting with new businesses internationally. So after the business has gone on the trade mission, they've met lots of people, they've built lots of contacts, and they've come back with, that Rolodex of business cards. What are the next steps? How do businesses, come back from a trade mission, get over that jet lag, and then really how do they action the next steps to make sure that this investment of time really is worthwhile?
Yeah, of course. So, I mean, the trade mission, you're there representing your business, so it's important that when you come back, you debrief with your team. We suggest, writing a report detailing the mission and your experience there when you get home, and then share that document with the team. Document the people that you met with, the discussions that you had, what your next steps are, and assign the tasks to the rest of your team members as appropriate so that you don't lose that momentum that you built in market. This is not a single individual effort. It's a group effort on behalf of the development of the business, of course. That report's also going to helps to serve for you as a benchmark for future trade missions, and it'll also make sure that you don't forget any details or action points, both of which obviously would translate to missed opportunities, and we don't want to see anybody missing any opportunities. You can't just go back to, day to day in the office when you get back thinking that the work is done. It's really about following up with those contacts, which I guess, post-mission is the most important. That debrief with the team, very important, but following up with those new contacts, if you are, a solo, single, business owner, operator, it is all on you, but you need to make sure that that you're following up with those contacts to be successful. Far too many of the businesses don't really fully capitalize on the investment of the time and the money that they put into joining trade missions, and fail to follow up on doors that they've opened while traveling in a timely manner, because being timely and being prudent about these sorts of opportunities shows a lot of respect for the conversations that you've had and new partners. And respect is really key for most business ecosystems that you're working within. You really need to set aside that time in your calendar to follow up with each and every connection you made, even the ones that you don't necessarily think are going to be that relevant to your immediate success. You really don't know who that person might be and what opportunity they might have for you in future. And likely because, it's a whirlwind when you're on a trade mission, you haven't necessarily uncovered all of the opportunities with a potential contact that you've made. And so, your commitment to developing those opportunities and your tenacity in building those relationships is really what's going to drive the success of your business moving forward.
So many excellent points. I can't agree more on the follow-up part. When we've had inbound delegations come and we've attended and spoken with a number of international delegates that are here in Canada, they often say, Canadians are, the Canadian brand, they want to do business with Canadian businesses, but they find the kind of one drawback with Canadian business owners is we're terrible at following up. That they have a great conversation with the Canadian business owner, there's an exchange of business cards, but that follow-up just doesn't happen. So I can't agree that the time-sensitive nature of follow-up is so key to continue those conversations. And to your point about contacts that you may have met on a trade mission that don't immediately seem very relevant, or that they're going to directly translate into a deal or into an expansion of your products or services. You never know who's within their business organization. And I know all of us on the webinar and anyone listening in afterwards can think of an experience where an opportunity has come to you that may not have been relevant to your business, but you've been able to make that referral, and you're more likely to make that referral to somebody that you've had a connection with, that you've spoken with. And so really doing that follow-up, even with businesses, again, that may not immediately be directly related to your business, you can be someone within their business network that they have in the back of their mind. So if an opportunity comes up that they think, that person that I met from Canada might actually be the right person for this opportunity, they've now got a connection with you. So that, that connection building, that follow-up piece is critical to making sure that you really get the most out of the trade mission. We'll have opportunities for questions from the audience, because I'm sure there are some, and I'd really like to get Erin to speak a little bit about the TAP program at the end, because I do, we've been really lucky to sit in on a few of the sessions, and it's such a fabulous program, and it's such a great first step for businesses that are really looking to take their business to the next level and get, you know, and consider an export plan as part of their business development. But I want to really quickly just talk about our partnership with the World Trade Center Toronto. And if you're interested in staying connected to everything that the World Trade Center Toronto is doing, as well as those other key providers, so the Ontario government, Global Affairs Canada, EDC, BDC, really your best next step after this webinar is to sign up at worldtradecentertoronto.magnet.today. So that's WTCT.magnet.today. And you'll come to this landing page that you see on the right of your screen. If you're a current user, great. If you want to create an account, it's going to ask you to build a profile. And so just for everyone who's on, you know, on the webinar today, everything that you respond to in your profile is private and confidential. So not even our partners, World Trade Center Toronto, will see all of the nitty-gritty details about your business. Instead, this information is really used so that we can target the opportunities that you're eligible for. So there are certain parameters around funding programs, around trade missions, based on your industry, based on your sales revenue, based on your number of employees. And so this allows us, this collection of information allows us to ensure that when we're putting and promoting an opportunity in the system, that it's going to the correct business, that, you know, there's nothing more irritating than getting an opportunity in your inbox and it's, you know, a great savings or a funding program or a trade mission, and then getting to the fine print and realizing that you're ineligible. And so our mission is really to ensure that businesses are receiving opportunities that they are eligible for, that we've already vetted on the back end, so that when you get that email notification, you know right away that you're eligible for it. And it's just a matter of if it works in your calendar year to take advantage of that opportunity, whether it's, you know, again, an inbound delegation that World Trade Center has coming in that's in your industry, in your sector. That's a great opportunity right in your backyard to be able to go and meet those international delegates. Or if it's the TAP program and you're looking to really do an intensive 2-day workshop and really get the most out of the expertise that the World Trade Center Toronto has tapped into. So really completing this profile and having it be as accurate as possible just allows us to ensure that you're getting timely notifications about everything that's kind of happening in this trade ecosystem to really help your business to grow and expand internationally. So this kind of step one is really just basic information, what industry you're in, what market, number of employees, your founding year. Step two is when we really ask you those, you know, more specific information about your export propensity. And what's really important here is you do not need to currently be exporting to be eligible for this online profile. It really is about supporting Canadian SMEs to start exporting or to deepen their export if they're already exporting. So if you're listening in, you think, well, I'm not exporting right now, maybe this isn't for me. It certainly is. We really want to ensure that you're getting the information that you need to really feel confident in taking that next step. There's so many supports out there and services to help you get there, and a lot of them are, you know, government funded or supported, and so, you know, in essence, your tax dollars are paying for it. And so making sure that you are wary of what those opportunities are and how they apply to your business is really top of mind for us. So step two is another 4 questions about your business, understanding if you're currently exporting, what your total sales revenue range is, and if you know, are looking for export markets, you know, what are those markets of interest? Are you looking to the EU? Are you looking to China? And you can absolutely hit don't know yet, because we recognize, especially for businesses that aren't currently exporting, you don't know what you don't know. And that's where that, you know, market intelligence from World Trade Center Toronto becomes really critical for you to understand where is your product or service going to find success, going to be successful. And step 3 is really planning for success. The profile is connected with your email inbox, and so this isn't another thing that you need to check every day or be on top of. You get email notifications straight to your inbox that say, hey, you qualify for a new opportunity, or there's a new TAP session that's starting, you know, in 3 weeks. Click here to get more information. And so it really is just a hub of information that we target to your inbox. We have a fabulous learning center within the system as well, where things like this, webinars that we're running to really educate Canadian SMEs on what it means to grow and scale their business internationally, and you can tap into all of those. And so the onboarding system is very quick. 2 minutes or less. This is all information that you have readily in the back of your head. And I think that, the benefits for businesses are really simple. It's targeted communication, so it's not a generic email news blast. It's targeted information that's relevant to your business profile. It's convenient. It's connected right to your email inbox, so there's no need for you to consistently be going back into your profile. It's not like a Twitter account or a LinkedIn account that you have to manually go into every day to stay on top of what's going on. It's connected right to your inbox, and it's free to create a profile. And so we really are encouraging businesses to connect through the World Trade Center Toronto's landing page so that they can stay connected on everything that's coming out of World Trade Center Toronto, as well as our primary providers that offer other great export services and resources. And so I encourage all of you to check out the landing page. Again, that was wtct.magnet.today, and we'll leave that on the final concluding slide for you to jot down. It'll also be in your email after today's webinar. But really encourage you to sign up so that you can stay connected with everything that's going on at World Trade Center Toronto, as well as the Toronto Region Board of Trade. And so I'm going to pause there so that we have some time for questions. Andrew, I'm not sure if we have any participant questions right away, but I would like to start with just asking Erin to tell us a little bit more about the TAP program. You mentioned it briefly at the beginning, and I think it's just such a phenomenal program. And so if you could speak a little bit to what that looks like for businesses that are listening in, and then Andrew, feel free to jump in if there's other participant questions.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks, Devin. You're right. The TAP program really is it is a fantastic program. It's a lot of the companies that come through the TAP program are actually the feeder, are the companies that feed our trade missions. So what we focused on previously are the actual trade missions themselves, but it is important not to forget, the programming and the work that goes into preparing those companies in advance of them looking at potentially opportunities to join the mission itself. So TAP, Trade Accelerator Program, is a extremely dynamic 6-week workshop that helps our SMEs really develop and execute an export plan. We've launched the program nationally across the 7 largest urban chambers of commerce across Canada, and the program really runs with three main steps. So the first step in the program is really onboarding them into that 6-week workshop. So it begins with an intensive 2 days where we orient them to the program and the exporting resources that are available to them through the program. So various mentors, various partners that are leading experts relative to their functional areas. So supply chain management or cross-border tax and accounting, legal, etc. The second step in the program is them going home and trying to develop an export plan. We provide them, with one-on-one hands-on support from those mentors in order for them to develop an ironclad export plan. So we help them, take a look at some of the considerations that they maybe would have missed on their own, and make sure that we provide them with solutions within that plan to help them be successful. And then the third step, of course, is them actually activating that plan. So we help them refine that pitch, and we help match them up with some of the trade missions that we're running through our market activation program in order for them to get out into the global marketplace and really experience what it means to export.
Wonderful, really interesting program. Actually, just, I was thinking earlier on as Devin was speaking, how effective the Magnet business portal is. I received a message last week, which was really I was quite shocked, but it was targeted directly to my business. So I encourage you to sign up. It works. It's very, very simple, and it works. And this opportunity, I would have never found on my own, absolutely never found on my own. And I contacted the people straight away. So I encourage you to check it out because it definitely works and works really effectively. All right, so I've got quite a few questions actually here. So let me start off by one of the first questions here is for Erin. When we go on a trade mission, or are we planning a trade mission, For the trade mission itself, how much should we be budgeting? Any ideas, or give us a range of what the costs are involved in the process?
Absolutely, my pleasure, Andrew. It really depends on the market you're going to. Obviously, you know, a flight to Mexico City is significantly less expensive than a flight to Hong Kong. Similarly, accommodation in Mexico City would be significantly less expensive than accommodation in, you know, a market like Hong Kong. So there's variables like that. Typically, you know, a delegate fee on one of our trade missions, which is going to include all of the on-the-ground transportation, all of that work that we do on your behalf with in-market consultants and key go-to-market partners, setting up your own individualized business-to-business meeting schedule, as well as, you know, site visits and networking receptions and conference passes and all of that jazz. We charge usually between about $2,000 and $3,000 as a delegate fee alone. And then, you know, again, as I mentioned, depending on which market you're going into and whether you need to be shipping samples in advance of that mission into that market, and if you've got any additional meals or anything like that that you're willing to or looking to host with some of those contacts that you've made independently from the mission organizers and independently from the actual mission program, you know, there's additional costs associated with that.
But I think the costs are reasonable. I think that's the point people need to understand. You know, you can travel, go on one of these trade missions, you spend a few $1,000s, but the reality is there's lots of opportunity there. And I think one of the things we need to be aware of as small business owners is often these, you know, when you go to an event, these people want to do business. So I think that is one of the key advantages. And the other key advantage, I think, is the Canadian brand. Everybody loves Canadians, which is wonderful. I think that's a good starting point whenever you're traveling. Here's a really interesting comment here by Joanne. Joanne says TAP gave them the confidence to look at our brand as a possible global brand. So there's a great testimonial for you, Erin, from Joanne, that she says she used the TAP service and she thinks you're absolutely wonderful. So there you go. So that's always nice to get somebody on a webinar that's used your services and really happy about that. So here's another question for Devin. Devin, just make sure you unmute yourself so that we can chat to you. But Devin, one of the questions here is, let's say, for example, I'm in cybersecurity and digital forensics. You know, these are some of the questions that I can ask. So I can specifically on the portal say that those are the industries I'm interested in?
So sorry, the question was the businesses themselves in cybersecurity, or they're interested? Exactly. Okay,
they're interested. So they're in cybersecurity and digital forensics. So, you know, will they, if they sign up for the portal, will it send them specifics relating to that industry?
Right, and so that's a great question. So one of the kind of first challenges that we were faced with when we launched the export platform is that our industries and market served section on our onboarding is all based on the NAICS codes, which are North American codes that are developed by the federal government. And as you can imagine, it takes a long time for them to get updated and developed. And so for a lot of new industries, a lot of them that Erin mentioned, so fintech, clean tech, and smart city tech, even things like cybersecurity and forensics, are not as in tune with the current NAICS codes. And so that was a real challenge for businesses that were in more innovative and new industries to be able to find a appropriate NAICS code to identify with. So we worked with our developers and with external agencies to create what we call a fuzzy search on the organization profile. So what that means is that in the industry and market served, we don't ask you to come up with the 6-digit NAICS code on your own. You can start typing, it's a free-form type field, you can start typing cybersecurity, and it will bring up the NAICS codes that are most closely identified with your business. And we encourage you in the industries and markets served section of your profile to list all of the industries and markets served that could be identified with your business, just so that you're receiving all of the opportunities and not limiting what you're seeing on your profile. What you can be rest assured with is that when we get an opportunity from whether it's the federal government or the provincial government, I feel like last year I remember there was a trade mission in Chile, I believe, that was focused specifically on cybersecurity, on ICT. So when we're publishing one of those opportunities in the system, we're using the same fuzzy search that you use on the front end when you're building your profile. So that's really how we make those matches. It's all about ensuring that you as a user and us as an administrator, we're using the same language. So we know that the NAICS codes aren't a perfect system, and so we've created a solution, in our fuzzy search to allow for more non-traditional industries and markets to be able to create their profile and see the opportunities that are coming through. Because as Erin said, these emerging industries like clean tech and fintech, like cybersecurity, these are only going to continue to get more attention and really need more Canadian businesses entering into these fields. So absolutely, I would say what we always tell businesses when they create a profile is that, again, remembering that it is targeted. And so if you create a profile, you can get anywhere from 10 targeted messages to 50 targeted messages. It really depends on what types of opportunities are in the ecosystem, but it's always changing. It's always evolving. And we're obviously very, opportunities are privy to what's going on, whether it's in the political realm or, across our partners. And so I just always encourage businesses to continue.
Okay, I've got another question here for Erin. Erin, specifically about the TAP program. Do you encourage business owners to do something like the TAP program before they start exporting? Because I think, the key part here is that, exporting is a process, and I think there's quite a lot to learn there. So do you encourage them to participate in something like the TAP program?
Of course we do. Of course we do. I mean, we really are, a program like TAP provides a one-stop resource for these companies to help them realize their global potential. We educate them on how to navigate the global trade ecosystem. We help them leverage some of the trade and investment resources that organizations like BDC and EDC and others have put in place to help them grow. We have access to one-on-one coaching and mentors. We help them learn about international best practices, again, kind of those customs and the complexities of doing business in foreign markets, and effectively, help them to accelerate their export readiness, develop and implement new market entry plans, and really expand their global potential. One of the things I didn't mention previously when we were talking about TAP is that the average growth of the export sales in 1 year after participation is actually close to 20% for the companies that we've had come through that program. And we've had nearly 500 companies come through the program to date. So that's quite an impact on our economy, and quite remarkable when we think about how one program can really change the landscape of Canadian SMEs and their trade readiness.
And I think it's so important, that these programs are available out there. You don't have to do it on your own. And I think that's the key thing, is that there's support available for you. So if you're a small business owner, I think exporting is a process. So in these startup phases, it can be quite challenging. So the more support you get, the better it is. Here's a question for Devon. Devon said, I signed up for the portal. Will it send me information about any government grants or funding available for exporters? Will that be available on the Export Business Portal?
Absolutely. So one of our the opportunities that come through the system really fall in three main buckets. One are funding and grant programs that you're eligible for. One is events, and so that's anything like workshops, so the TAP session would be included in that, or inbound delegations. And then the kind of third bucket is trade missions, so taking you international. And so absolutely funding and grant programs are available through the system. As I said previously, when you first sign up, you may not see numerous funding and grant programs because it all depends on the funding cycle. So as we're getting closer to March 31st, which typically is end of fiscal year for both the provincial and federal government, there tends to be less funding programs. However, from April to June, there tends to be more as they're getting new budgets and allocating it to support businesses. And so importantly, in the system, we're looking at both funding programs that are directly related to export and trade, but we're also looking at expanding to see funding and grant programs that are available to businesses so that they can get to the stage where they can export. So it's all about looking at where your business is in the kind of journey to getting to international trade, and looking for ways for us to be able to make sure that you're tapping into the myriad of funding and grant programs that are available to really help you get there.
And I think everybody needs to understand that there are a lot of resources available out there for us. We've got the trade commissioners, we've got a lot of opportunities. This does take time, so getting these alerts on a regular basis, telling you about trade missions, telling you about programs, is really beneficial because it helps you prepare, because I think it's a process. All right, so we've got a couple of minutes left. We've got about 4 minutes left. So I'm going to ask you guys just to summarize, both Devin and Erin, just give us a summary of, some just short little tips and things that we need to be aware of so that we can export our products or services. We'll start off with Erin. Tell us a couple of final words from you, Erin.
Yeah, I think my biggest advice to the companies that are listening is really, seeing is believing. You have to take a step at some point, and we have all of these wonderful programs in place to help you take that first step and do it safely. Don't let the cost be your barrier to growth. You need to spend money to make money. Every business knows that. We've got TAP cohorts that are on almost a monthly basis. We've got trade delegations going into these 7 sectors all across the globe, on a near monthly basis. And there's just so much opportunity through the programs that we're running, and Magnet's obviously there to help you identify those and streamline those even more so. But, you can come directly to us, go directly to Magnet, whatever is easiest for you. But the help is out there, and you need to take the first step, and there's lots of partners to help you do that.
Thank you very much, Erin. And a couple of final words from you, Devin.
Yeah, I'll keep it very, very short. I echo everything that Erin said. And again, the best way to stay on top of what's going on at World Trade Center Toronto and making sure that you can connect with them is really creating and activating your account on the World Trade Center Toronto's landing page on Magnet. We work directly with the marketing and communications team at World Trade Center. So everything that they're promoting on their website, through their social channels, we're promoting through the system. And it's a great way, as I said, to really make sure that you're understanding what opportunities are available to your specific business needs, and so that you can action them. And there are all these great resources, and we're just trying to make it a bit easier for you to tap into the ones that are relevant to your business.
Thank you very much, Devin. So really, really useful information, and I encourage you to sign up. I know it's worked for me, and I'm in quite an unusual business, so if the Magnet Business Portal worked for me, it'll work for you too. So I encourage you to go and activate your account now. So go online to WTCT. It's on the screen, so you can just type that into your computer. So go onto your computer now and sign up. It is really simple, and it's very effective. And I think one of the key things that Devin said that I find that I like about the Magnet Business Portal is that it doesn't send you too much information. It only sends relevant information to you, which is really the key. So thank you very much, Devin, for sharing some information with us this afternoon. And thank you very much, Erin, for telling us a little bit about the TAP program and about some of the resources available to businesses. I encourage you to check these resources out. They're a great opportunity, and exporting is a great revenue source for you. And the other thing is you get to see the world. I think it's wonderful that you get to see the world and run your business at the same time, and there is an opportunity to sell your products in different parts of the world. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining us this afternoon. Remember, we will send you a recording of this webinar, and you can watch it again And feel free to contact us if you have any questions, and we can help you. But the most important thing is, I think, sign up for the Export Business Portal. So go to the link on the screen, sign up for the business portal, start getting information from all these great organizations, and build your business.